Committee recommendations. Focus on broader strategic priorities. Modify KPIs number 7, 21, 43, 17, 90, 91, and 150. Designation of 54 KPIs as operational performance measures. Direct staff to develop action plan funding. And lastly, recommend development of the next 10-year 2018-28 strategic plan. I also want to add the 2016 community report is available on the internet, onca.gov, strategic plan. All the material before you is also available. Sincere thanks to all the managers for updating the strategic items. And then we'll be, with your approval this evening, we'll start the background work to prepare for the next phase of the update, which will include the comprehensive community engagement effort to develop the much more narrow focused based on the recommendations of the last 10 years,
going first?
The broader strategic initiatives. I'm a little fast.
I'll go after you.
Councilmember Goodrich, as chair, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I'd just like to thank staff for their work on this throughout the year, for keeping us updated and on track.
Any questions from Councilmember Griffith?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. One of the things that I was interested in reading was the surveys at the back of the report here from both the residents and businesses, which I think was done in 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Started in 2013, and it was available in 2014. That's correct.
What do those surveys cost, and how often do we do those?
We'll have to come back to you with the specifics. Last time we did it, the plan calls for, I believe, a 5-year cycle, but we had to delay because of budget constraints last time. We had a community profile as well as a survey, so we'll bring back a night.
Yeah, it doesn't affect my vote on this tonight, but I'm just curious for future. I think these surveys are very valuable tools that kind of give us an indicator of how the community feels and the businesses are doing, and so I think it's a nice thing that we bellwether for us to see what's going on out there, and I'd like to see that done on a regular basis. I'm just curious about the costs and so forth. Thank you.
We'll share that information with you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hearn.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I just want to commend staff for the work that it's doing. I can remember being a part of the 2008 community outreach planning, and it was just a lot of buzz from the community that we were doing something like this. And since then, we've just been on track developing our long-range goals, and we've been accomplishing them. So kudos to the staff and all of the council members that have been on the council since that time. And of course, the council member that's today, kudos to us. If we pass this, I think that we're following a great tradition.
And if I could, Mayor, I'd like to note that we're coming up very soon on the 10-year renewal. The plan, the citizens at that time were not fully trusting that we would continue the obligation of the strategic plan upkeep, so they did put in time frames. And 10 years, it's mandatory that we revisit and go through the whole process as well as the new strategic plan and that's coming up in 10 years.
Yeah, I remember when we embarked on the first one, and it was truly a tremendous ride with a lot of investment of community time, sweat effort, sweat equity from the staff as well as the many people who helped out on that. And we've created a great blueprint. I think the late Tom Rishi used to call it our Constitution. And truly it is the way we're looking to go forward in the future. And keeping updated like this and keeping the council aware of everything as well as the public, I think it's gone a great distance from where we were. Thank you to staff for all you've done, and for the committee for all the work you guys put in for it as well. Any other questions from council? Anybody from the public wish to be heard?
Yeah, it's Tom Newman still. What are KPIs? I'm new to all this. Thank you.
Yeah, we sometimes forget that acronyms are.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello, Tracy again, Hopkins, Hermosa Beach. I just wanted to go over a few things that we're dealing with in Hermosa Beach, which may be relevant to some of the issues that you're going over in your plan. And just to bring up some awareness that many residents have found there are concerns in their planning. One of the ideas that I see in here is discussion about the environment and so forth, and there can be good efforts in dealing with the environment and working to support and restore our environment. However, we have to be aware that there are also sources that tend to go in a different way. And so just really quickly, we have our general plan, and one of the concerns that we had come up with is that it was based on an environmental political philosophy, that the new general plan is based on smart growth, otherwise known as sustainable cities, policies with base political assumptions that cars are bad and single-family homes are inappropriate and waste resources, and that driving your car on a freeway to work in a different city is bad for society. So again, the intent of the plan is not to necessarily rebuild infrastructure or necessarily help through those ways, but through rezoning and regulating. And as I spoke earlier on sustainable development, if there are issues in your plan that deal with sustainable development or sustainability, I would just really encourage you to think twice before you go forward with those issues, because that means more inventorying and more control of the residents and businesses. And furthermore, I noticed that there was grant funding in here. And one of the big issues in Hermosa Beach right now is we have this 26-page application for one of our grants for $400,000, comprehensive blueprint for sustainability and a low-carbon future. And one of the unfortunate things is with this $410,000 grant that we received, that there are 17 thresholds requirements that we are expected to cover in our general plan. And community choice aggregation for one is one. One is lowering vehicle miles traveled is another one. Infill and density is another one. And so we're being required to do these things that the residents did not ask for, because we got a grant that says in order to keep our grant monies that we have to follow these steps. And so just remember, when you're dealing with grants, that you're dealing with the devil is in the details. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy, can you take me?
Anybody else? Seeing no one? So we are talking about the city of Torrance general plan. We're not talking Hermosa Beach.
I don't know why you're telling me that, because I'm speaking here as a Torrance resident, and I looked through this plan. I looked through it a second time. So I would have to agree. I wish I had a chance to take the survey. I do agree that traffic is becoming an issue. I certainly hope that other cities have gone into road diet programs. That's a terrible thing to do, and I hope this city doesn't even touch that. I do hope that there are more plans, whether like with the Del Amo corridor that was opened up between Prairie and Crenshaw. If there are more opportunities to do that, I hope we see those, because that helped me a great deal when I was commuting. The other thing I want to, crime in general being a bigger issue, I had to rip them out because I want to make sure that I was specific about this. I'll go right back again. Senate Bill 54 is going to make this a bigger problem. I cannot stress this enough. There should be a resolution by now condemning this bill. So you want to make sure that this doesn't become an issue anymore, or that it's not the highest issue for city residents in this city. Send a very clear message to Sacramento that we don't want to protect illegals. We want to protect our citizens. The other thing too, and I've heard this off and on, is about these 1 mile, 1 charger programs. A lot of people do not use these. I think it's a waste of space, it's a waste of money, it's an inconvenience going to the library parking lot and seeing how many parking spaces taken up with this. This is part of this whole green program, which is more boondoggle than it is boon, as far as what the city needs. I was glad to see, unless I missed it, I didn't see any mentions of community choice aggregation. I think it should be that way. Those were the words I heard from you at the town hall, Mayor Fury, that it was not on the horizon and it shouldn't have been. I don't understand. Again, I commend you, Councilmember Herring, for voted no immediately. Okay, staff should be focusing on all of these other issues, which again I commend. This is a really well done report. Okay, CCA should be not even a viable option. People shouldn't even be looking at it. It's not in this plan, it shouldn't be in this plan. Please don't suddenly put it in this plan. We need to be focusing on these core infrastructure issues. I do recognize that the streets are getting repaired. Love it. Sorry I haven't said it before. It was the first thing I talked about was that little corridor between Anza and Hawthorne. It doesn't feel like a bumpy ride anymore. Glad that was taken care of. I understand Hawthorne Boulevard is out of your hands because it's a state highway. Finally, they're paving it. I hope it wasn't because the gas tax was suddenly raised on us. I would like to see more of the funding dealing with our core infrastructure issues and that it stays that way. I think stuff like this, these green boondoggles, we shouldn't be wasting our time with these. This is ridiculous. And I understand there was a grant in the past, but again, grants have those strings attached. I think we should be, as much as possible, being able to have control over our own infrastructure, our own buildup. That's the way it should be. And once again, we need a resolution condemning Senate Bill 54. You want to make sure that crime is a low priority, and sure, make the message very clear to Sacramento that we don't want our law enforcement not able to get rid of illegals. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing no
There's
one,
always one scoffer.
take a motion to concur with staff recommendation.